Hello and welcome. Our guest today is the President of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Your Excellency, hello, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation. It's a great honor to have you on our set. Yesterday you attended the parade on May 9th. What are your impressions?
Alors, bonjour, merci.
Hello, thank you. We're here in Russia for the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the victory over Nazism. And as you said yesterday, we attended the ceremony, a parade and a wreath-laying ceremony. I think it's very symbolic. We learned a lot of things during this stay. It was not only a party, but it is a celebration of the victory of the world. So it makes a lot of sense to us.
What did you think about the quality of the show?
Oui.
Yes, it was perfect, and it made us learn a lot of things. When we look through the machines that won the war, that is to say the T-34s and up to the modern equipment, it shows us the technological evolution of the Russian army. It also inspires us to put ourselves to work so that we can develop in the same direction.
Were there certain things that surprised you, for example?
Surpris, on est toujours surpris quand on
We're always surprised when we see the technological advances.
And lately, I think there's a new weapon that's appeared in the Russian military arsenal, the Oreshnik, and I think it's very significant.
What is the significance of your presence as an African head of state? Because it is well known that Africans made their contribution to the victory of the Allies in the Second World War.
Bien sûr, c'est comme je l'ai dit.
Of course, as I said, Africans and Soviet soldiers contributed a lot to liberating the world from Nazism. If the world had not been liberated from Nazism, we don't know what would have become of it. Our ancestors fought a lot in the European theatre, mainly in France, Belgium and Italy, to free the world from Nazism. So it's a common story that we share.
How are the talks with the Russian president going?
Alors, pour l'instant,
It's going very well, and really it's very courteous. It's friendly, it's fraternal, and that's all we ask for in terms of new cooperation.
How would you describe the current state of bilateral relations?
les relations se portent très bien et je peux dire que
Relations are doing very well, and I can say that for 2 years now, they've been going very well. We're in the process of deepening the defence and security aspects, but also education aspects and commercial aspects. We have compiled the different components so that we can exchange a lot, share a lot of experiences, because we have a lot to learn about the education side of Russia, especially in science.
notamment dans les sciences.
Especially in the sciences, but in which field in particular?
Oui, il y a beaucoup de domaines.
Yes, there are many areas in the sciences, be it mathematics, physics, chemistry. These are fields that interest us a lot, both for the development of our military industry, but also in the commercial development of our country, the economic development of our country. These are areas that we will seek to deepen in order to be able to structure ourselves better.
Do you think there is a demand in Burkina Faso for Russian education?
Bien sûr, il y a beaucoup d'étudiants.
Of course, there are a lot of Burkina-based students already here in Russia at universities. I ran into some of them this morning, and I even asked that we increase the number of students here, perhaps through scholarships. There is an objective for us to set up similar universities in Burkina Faso, and since there is already the Cultural House of Russia there, it will allow us to move very quickly.
By the way, you just reminded me, today you visited a Russian university. How did this visit go?
Ça s'est très bien déroulé. J'ai eu des
It went very well. I had fruitful exchanges with Russia's education minister, as well as with rectors and students. We had very good exchanges, and we talked a lot in a scientific way.
Let's talk a little bit about the economy. The volume of trade increased by 10 times in a year. How would it be possible to boost trade relations?
Comme je l'ai dit, c'est
As I said, this is a new relationship that is
la
beginning.
Russie.
Excuse me, but why new?
Yes, it's starting again since the years of Thomas Sankara's death. Unfortunately, relations with Russia faded a lot. And here we are reawakening our relationships. The embassy has been set up, and commercial relations are also at the heart of the exchange. There are a number of products from Burkina Faso that pass through some European countries before being sold in Russia. Today, these products are sold directly through local operators and merchants. For example, mangoes. They pass through European countries to be sold in Russia. Today, it's happening directly. There is cotton that will follow. There are many other products, sesame and many others, agricultural products that we'll be able to sell directly to Russia. So it's just beginning. It's going to increase.
The economic forecasts indicate a growth of 5.6%. In 2025, what are the key sectors that support this growth?
Alors, il faut dire que jusqu'aujourd'hui,
It must be said that until today in Burkina Faso, gold is the primary export product. But we've launched the engine of agriculture for self-sufficiency, but also for foreign trade and exports. If you've been following us well since last year, we have launched an agricultural offensive with a specific initiative. The objective is to be able to increase our agricultural production significantly to be self-sufficient, but also to sell outside. And all this must be able to support growth, and we hope we'll be well above these figures.
But how are these reforms actually going?
il y a beaucoup de choses, ce sont des réformes
These are difficult reforms, we must admit, because the system that's been installed. But it's not impossible. Already, when you look at our production, we had very good growth in 2024. In 2025, we hope to do even better. There are quite courageous reforms. When you take, for example, agriculture, we decided through the initiative of the offensive to plough the fields of our peasants for free. So last year we did it. This year again, there are a good many tractors that we have acquired, and mechanised cells will be available in various departments to increase the areas planted. We've grown vastly in water management through a structure that the National Office of Dams and Hydro-Agricultural Developments has created to control the water and be able to produce at least 2 or 3 times a year. Because if we only depend on the rains, it would be difficult. So there is this sector, the mining sector too, which will continue to boost for the country to exploit its own resources. We've started to acquire mines. There are a lot of permits which allow our engineers to develop the necessary machines so that we could exploit our resources ourselves. So if we take advantage of these two sectors, complete with industrialization, that is to say the transformation of our products on site, who will prevent us from exporting crude? It will lead us to very good growth. So it is these reforms that are underway in agriculture, industry and many other sectors.
Do you think Russia can provide support for the implementation of these reforms?
Bien sûr.
Of course, a lot of support. Technical and vocational training alone is already a very good thing. If we pay for industries, we keep people to maintain them and keep them running. And Russia is helping us with this. That's why I say we have very good cooperation with the Ministry of Education. They will allow us to train technicians and engineers who must be able to maintain everything we do, but also create our own industrial units. So that's very important for us. And in trade too, as I said right away, things are going very well with Russia. There's no reason we can't delve into this further.
Let's talk a little bit about security. What is the current security situation in your country and elsewhere in the region?
Oui, dans la région.
Yes, in the region, as you know, the security situation, at least, we're trying to evolve on the battlefield. That's the first thing, because there are several factors that come into play. On the battlefield, things are evolving. If we take 2023 as it is today, we've been able to recapture many areas and calm them. However, the enemy is also growing stronger. There are many foreign fighters joining the terrorists.
Can you be more specific? What are you talking about?
Oui, les terroristes.
Yes, the terrorists are reinforced by many foreign fighters who come from elsewhere, who aren't actually, when I take the case of Burkina Faso, there are many criminals who are in Burkina, but who aren't Burkinabe. There are also trainers who come from many countries to teach them many techniques.
But what's their interest?
Mais c'est pas du terrorisme.
But it's not terrorism, it's imperialism. Their goal is to keep us in a permanent war, to prevent us from developing and continuing to plunder our research. So it's in their best interest to bring mining specialists to lay various types of mines, explosive specialists. Today, terrorists use drones to fight and everything. So these are professionals from certain countries who come to teach them all that. All this is to continue to keep us in a situation of insecurity. But we're taking stock of the situation. We're adapting each time to their mode of action, and we will continue to fight until we reclaim the entire Sahel.
Are there any specific countries funding these fighters?
Tous les pays impérialistes.
All the imperialist countries are funding these fighters. There are many of them. We can't name them individually. Some we can't imagine are even hidden. But there are many. There are many.
There are those who aren't hidden and who openly declare it. I'm talking about the recent scandal involving support for terrorism in Mali. What is your view of what actually happened in Mali?
Oui. C'est malheureux.
It's unfortunate they've openly stated it, that they support the terrorists. We've also noticed with a certain number of technologies that the terrorists may have acquired that it comes from them. It's unfortunate, it's very unfortunate, but the fact remains that we don't feel sorry for ourselves. We've taken stock of the situation, we're going to adapt, we're going to fight it, and they won't be able to win. That's the most important thing for us.
How is humanitarian cooperation between Burkina Faso and Russia continuing?
Ça se poursuit très bien. Je pense
It's going very well. I think there's a lot of discussion on many fronts. When I take the health sector, because we still have displaced people who are there, and when we say a displaced persons camp, it means there are often complicated health situations. I think the health services are cooperating well to support humanitarian action services. To be able to move forward, and you followed in 2023, I think Russia donated wheat to Burkina Faso. It was only intended for displaced persons. But we made a promise to President Putin that we no longer want to be supplied with wheat because we will produce the wheat. And I'm keeping that promise because we've started producing our own wheat in quantity. So this means that cooperation in this area is leading us to develop ourselves, to boost many things, to be able to fill the gap.
Faced with current geopolitical tensions, particularly the trade war between the United States and China, how is Burkina Faso adapting its economic and diplomatic strategy?
Alors, ce monde est...
The world is constantly changing. The things we see are often crazy. We have to stay alert and be able to adapt at any time. And that's very important because we follow the news. There's an economic battle going on almost everywhere. But in principle, we trade with China without any problem. We buy a lot of things from China, and the Chinese also buy a lot of things from us. There are Chinese companies setting up shop here, despite the fact that people have tried to denigrate Burkina Faso. It's the same with Russia right now. We're trying to collaborate better with all the countries fighting for their economic independence today, because it is a form of imperialist oppression. Those who are oppressed must unite to confront this monstrous region. So, in principle, we're adapting to this whole situation.
Mr. President, what is your view on the recent deterioration in relations with Algeria?
Alors, vous avez suivi les événements et je pense...
So, you've been following the events, and I think everyone understands how things work. We regret the incident that occurred on the Algerian border with the drone that was shot down. It must be said clearly, this is not friendly. It's not friendly because you don't shoot down a flying machine like that. Everyone knows the protocol, so there's no point in hiding. If an aircraft crosses your border, even if it enters your country, we identify it, radars can identify it, and we know which country it belongs to. And there are diplomatic relations for that. We contact the embassy. There are defense attaches, there are many mechanisms. We contact them and they confirm whether it's their aircraft or not, whether it's on the territory. Maybe it needs help or has lost its bearings and all that. Because an aircraft can be in the air, it can have problems with the weather. It has to hide behind the clouds. This happens very often in our countries. So an aircraft comes in, we ask about it, they say no. There's a lot of cloud cover, but in any case, there's a meteorological phenomenon that causes it to come over. It could have a technical problem. It could ask for help to guide it to land. So there are so many factors that can cause an aircraft to end up in the wrong airspace. We don't systematically shoot down an aircraft. This happened to us. We've often seen an American aircraft enter our territory doing reconnaissance and everything. We didn't shoot down the aircraft. We took the trouble to contact the American embassy, which took a few minutes, confirmed it was their aircraft and cleared the area. So we don't systematically shoot down an aircraft. Shooting down an aircraft is a deliberate, unfriendly act, and it's regrettable.
But if I understand correctly, you're not closing the door to dialogue after all.
No?
No, leaders must understand that we have no choice but to unite in the face of this situation of so-called terrorism, because it's a rather complex phenomenon. I'm telling you that Burkina Faso was sitting back in 2012 watching Mali. The regime that was in power was friendly with these people. Some even lived in Ouagadougou. But what's happening today? They've turned against us. They're not free people. They're manipulated by the imperialists, and the orders given to them, they give to their criminals on the ground, and they carry them out. Everyone must understand that we must unite to confront this. There is no negotiation possible with these people.
Exactly. Let's talk about this unit, or rather this integration that's currently taking place within the AES. Where are we now?
Ça se passe bien, ça évolue.
It's going well. It's evolving. So we're in the Confederation, and as I said, there are a lot of things to put in place. There you go. And we shouldn't try to move too fast and not do it right. So we're moving gradually. There are a lot of structures to put in place. There are a lot of aspects to upgrade in the three countries because, as you know, from an economic point of view, we're not at the same level. From a military point of view, there are a lot of aspects. We have to try to balance things, and that requires the establishment of a lot of structures, a lot of meetings.
Precisely, I had a question about the economic aspect, the creation of the AES's own currency. Is it still on the agenda?
Oui, c'est à l'ordre du jour.
Yes, it's on the agenda, of course, and so the process continues. There are a lot of things, as I would say. There are a lot of notes to sort out before we get there, but it's bound to happen sometime soon. If we're talking about sovereignty, we obviously need that sovereignty, so it's imperative.
Can we expect the AES to expand?
Oui.
Yes, in the future, but for now, as I said, we have to normalise a lot of things ourselves. Really put the foundations in place, because there will be a lot of additional protocols, if you want to see. To harmonise our policies, whether diplomatic or economic, there are many policies to harmonise before allowing anyone to join.
But are there already countries interested in your format?
Oui. Des pays s'intéressent.
Yes, countries are interested. They could be, I don't know, but for now the president of the Federation is the Malayan president. He will be able to give his opinion on the matter, but there are countries interested in him.
How do you explain the decline of French influence in the region, not only in the Sahel, but also in West Africa, for example?
Je pense que c'est eux-mêmes.
I think they themselves have contributed to diminishing their influence because they have a paternalistic view of our relations. You see, when you immediately consider everything we do, everything we take as an initiative, it's Russia. Someone speaks, they're influenced by Russia. Everything that happened is Russia. Why are they so blind? So Africans aren't capable.